Black Scully on check. Got a little workout getter on check. Welcome to another marvelous episode. Shout out to my boy CFB Moon. I know I shouted him out yesterday, but shout out to him again today. That episode we did yesterday really did some numbers, and I truly appreciate him bringing his flair to this show yesterday. Today, we got quite a few things on the docket. We're going to talk about Cam Rising and his medical retirement. We're going to also talk about the Notre Dame Clemson home and home series for the next 12 years. I think that starts in either 2027 or 2028. We also, for governor's ruling today, the topic is going to be on Donald Trump and the White House kind of getting involved with college football. And it wasn't just them trying to study college football with this new committee that he's forming, but also like I saw him talking about Shedeur Sanders' situation as well. So shout out to him. He's really advocating for the sport, and I'm here for it 100%. And lastly, we're going to get into some commissioner approval rankings or ratings, however you want to call it. I don't know how you guys want to say it, but I love doing this every year. I do it every year. I update my list every year, and it's funny how year in and year out, my list continues to change in different directions. So we're definitely going to get into that. Governor of College Football, hashtag go CFB. CFB Nation, your only college football destination. Let's get it. Governor of College Football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's CJ
defensive minds. They have to be better on that side of Alrighty, into the news. We got quite a few things to talk about for our Into the News segment, but first thing first, we're going to talk about Cam Rising announcing his medical retirement. And happy trails. I believe he also got a job as an offensive coordinator at his high school alma mater, so shout out to him. It really weird seeing players medically retire at the collegiate level. It really is weird. I always looked at Cam Rising as a formidable opponent for any school that was facing Utah. You knew you was going to have to deal with them, and over the better part of the last 4 or 5 years, you knew if you were playing Utah and Cam Rising was the starting quarterback, he was going to bring trouble, man. And shout out to him. Happy trails to him. It's crazy what he was able to do there. I think he led them to a few Pac-12 championships, Rose Bowl appearances in 2021 and 2022, completed 63% of its passes with 6,000 total yards, 53 touchdowns, and 17 interceptions. Also rushed for 986 yards and 12 touchdowns. So it's pretty cool that he's going to become a coordinator at his former high school in California. Happy trails to him. And we're starting to see this a lot. And I remember just a few episodes ago, we were talking about kind of like, is college football the final destination? I believe everybody has hopes of making the NFL, but you look at the collegiate career that Cam Rising had, they'll be talking about him for years to come in Salt Lake City. So shout out to him. Happy trails, Cam Rising. We truly rooting for you, and good luck getting into coaching. I think quarterbacks getting into coaching, we see it now all over the collegiate level. We see a lot of former coaches who are coordinators, whether it's the Graham Harrells, whether it's a Tino Sinceri who's at UCLA right now, or Colin Kahn, who was at the Little Apple. He was at Kansas State for a while before he went over to Texas A&M. We see a lot of former quarterbacks who end up being coaches. So I'm glad he's starting his career here. And then, hopefully he can get him a graduate assistant role. And then, next 5 years, you never know. Like Cam Rising could be one of those up-and-coming offensive coordinators. So shout out to him. Wish him the best of luck. Clemson and Notre Dame ink a 12-year football series. All right, can we speak candidly for a second? Can we just be honest? I've always, if I'm being extremely honest, I've always kind of looked at Notre Dame as a secret ACC team. I just always look at them in that facet. And we remember was it the 2020 COVID-ridden season where they kind of joined the conference and that helped propel them to the college football playoff? If we remember that. So seeing them in Clemson book this series just kind of shows, one, where the sport is, two, Notre Dame, because they're independent. Of course, they have their story rivalries and teams that they play year in and year out. But it just shows kind of a mutual respect and a mutual interest. Both of these teams are either, in the playoff or on the cusp of making a playoff year in and year out. They both were in the 12-team college football playoff last year. So this is a win-win for both programs. It will start in 2027 and will commence in 2038. So, like I said, there's been some really good games between these two teams. I really like that they're doing this. I want to see more teams do this. What I kind of started to hate, and we kind of seen this trend across the sport, we started to see like teams, like they'll book like a 2-game series, play the first game at home, get thrashed, and like, nah, we don't want to play the second game at your house, and end up having to pay a fee for it. Like that ain't cool. So, hopefully this thing sees itself out. Like I said, Notre Dame is a part of the ACC as a basketball, well, all school, sports except for football. But like I said, I've always seen them as kind of part of the ACC, if I'm being honest. So, Claudia Wilkin wasn't playing with the NCAA. She been said that. That's Judge, the Honorable, my apology, I shouldn't have just called you your name. It's the Honorable Claudia Wilkin. But she wasn't playing with the NCAA. She let them know that she wanted more revises to this $2.8 billion revenue settlement. And those rises really were dealing with the fact that, yes, we go up from 85 players to 105 scholarship players. That's the win. But the loss is those walk-ons. We're talking about player 106 through 120. When you are allowed to carry 120 players who would possibly lose their role because of this new settlement. So, yes, it's great. All schools got an additional, 20 extra scholarships to hand out. But it's also not great for these players. So, in response to the court order, attorneys managing the $2.8 billion settlement proposed an updated plan to address the concerns over new roster limits that led schools to cut players prematurely. The revised plan will allow athletes who lost roster spots due to anticipated settlement terms known as designated student athletes to return or transfer to new schools without counting against the upcoming roster caps. So that means if you lost a role because of this settlement, because of this thing, and you happen to be a player 106 through 120, you can go seek a transfer, and if you join the school, you're allowed to be player 106, player 107, player 108 without hurting the cap rules. So I think this is a huge win. Shout out to the Honorable Judge Claudia Wilkin, she's not making this easy on them. She's not taking it lightly on them at all. And it's good to see. It's really good to see that the judge is holding them accountable. And I'm here for it. And I love to see it. And this exemption also covers high school recruits who scholarships were rescinded. And I don't think we talk about that enough in the sport. Now, the new plan comes after, like we said, U.S. District Judge Claudia Wilkin deemed the original roster limits unacceptable and demanded revision. So shout out to them. Kind of got that. So yesterday we did our top 25. I don't know if anybody saw it. I was supposed to post it earlier. Moon went ahead and posted his earlier. It's like, go ahead, you post yours, you do your thing. I'll post mine after the show. It's been ready. It's been in the chamber. I just got to figure out what I'm going to say with it. Also, in other news, Big Ten championship odds. Ohio State leads the pack, of course. Ohio State is just one of those teams year in, year out. The roster that Ryan Day is going to put together. Let me say this. If Ryan Day didn't win this championship this past season, I think there'll still be a lack of respect for what he's able to do, how he's able to construct rosters, how he's able to get, top flight coordinators on this team. He's able to, recruit via high school. He's able to recruit via the portal. So if he didn't win this championship, we'd be looking at him differently, especially if, let's say, they lost that opening game in Columbus to Tennessee. People would have really been calling for his job, like they was calling for his job after another Michigan Wolverine loss. So, yes. So, Ohio State is the favorite. I think they're plus 190, especially with, Julian Sanders expected to be the guy at quarterback. I don't trust Ohio State with quarterback battles. I just don't. And even though, heading into circuit training, heading into pre-camp, heading into spring camp, I thought, Julian Sanders was the guy easily. But Lincoln Conhoes ain't going away. And if you saw that spring game, he truly delivered. So I'm interested to see that. So after them, I think Oregon was next in the Big Ten championship odds, as they should be. They were the number 1 overall seed in the college football playoff last year. They were handed a raw deal. That's something you guys heard me and Moon both talk about yesterday. Year in, year out, Dan Lannon is going to recruit. Dan Lannon only has 5 losses as a head coach. That's crazy to me. That's miraculous to me. I think he is one of the strongest voices in college football. I know we give a lot of credit and kudos to the Kirby Smarts and the Dabo Sweeneys of the world, but Dan Lannon is respected, and I feel like when he speaks, people listen. So I like Dan Lannon a lot. They, based on success from last year, I can see them definitely being number 2. With Dante Moore if he ends up winning the starting job, and then Penn State is at 3rd, and this is kind of chalk, I think, with Ohio State at 1. Oregon at 2, Penn State at 3. I would actually rank it probably Penn State 1 right now, just where I'm at, just because I don't know how this quarterback battle will end, and I don't trust Ryan Day and company with quarterback battles. I know I keep beating a dead horse with 2023, but I don't care. I just don't trust them with quarterback battles. But I really do like Nick Singleton, Katron Allen, the additions that Penn State has been able to make in a portal. And like I said, if they was playing for any other program, we'll be screaming this team was a championship team. But because James Franklin is their coach, I'll trust in. Our lack of trust isn't in the players. We know that 100%. It isn't in Andy Kotelnicki, the offensive coordinator. It isn't in Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinators. It's 100% James Franklin. If James Franklin can put in the work this year and find a way to win a national championship, he should have a lot of people up, including me. I had Penn State as my favorite to win the college football playoff once the rankings came out. Of course, you all know Ole Miss was my initial favorite after fall camp, but after I seen the bracket and I saw their path, I was like, yo, there's no way that Penn State shouldn't be in a championship. They lost to Notre Dame. They led at one point. Drew Allen was off of his game. It was weird, too, seeing him off his game like that. But like I said, this is pretty much chalk. Illinois is going to make some noise in that conference this year. I know people kind of here, there, and everywhere with Illinois. I had them ranked number 10 in my top 25. Moon had them ranked 21. And I get some of the fears, like, is this, was that a one-year thing last year? The conference is getting better. It has a stronger middle class. I believe in Luke Altmaier. I believe in Barry Lundy Jr., their offensive coordinator. I believe him and Luke Altmaier have a really good chemistry, really good connection. And I felt like Luke Altmaier is going to take that conference by storm, and he's one of my players to watch for when we talk about Big Ten offensive players of the year. Luke Altmaier is definitely a player that I'm looking at 100%. So don't forget about Illinois. I'm sure Indiana was like, hey, we had a really good season last year. I'm sure they believe they got a horse in the race. But I think if you ask the average person, the first 3 teams that people would probably think of, I'm sure, are Ohio State, Oregon, and Penn State, and probably in that order as well. But do not count out Illinois. I like their roster. I like the head coach, and I love their schedule. And they play 7 home games this year, which a lot of teams play 6 or 7 home games. But I always like when teams play one more home game than the away games. So that's our Into the News segment. Shout out to everybody who's watching right now. We're going to go right into our next segment. Y'all know typically we go into a ad break here. We're getting right into the next segment. We're going to talk about this governor's ruling thing. We're going to really deep dive. Governor's ruling, White House enters the red zone. Shout out to President Trump. I didn't know. I guess I wasn't aware. He was a college football fan. I wasn't. Like, he just got a million cool points in my book for being a college football fan. Like, we seen what he said about Shedeur Sanders. Like, really challenging the owners, the GMs, and the coaches of NFL teams when, his stock began to plummet in the NFL draft. We've already discussed that. I don't want to, continue to be the dead horse, so I don't want to talk about it anymore. But let's talk about what's going on. And shout out to Ross Dellinger. A lot of times where I see pieces that I probably want to do, like that editorial piece, because the governor is ruling, like, this segment is all editorial based. It's based on something that I see, and I just want to speak my opinion on it. That's 100% what this is. So, President Donald Trump is reportedly planning to launch a federal commission on college sports, and the names linked to it: Cody Campbell, a Texas Tech billionaire and NIL club founder, and Nick Saban is also a part of this as well. So the commission aims to tackle the major fault lines in college athletics, NIL, transfer portal free-for-all, Title IX compliance, Olympic sports erosion, and the looming question of whether student athletes should be employees. The fact that they want to study this is really intriguing to me, and it seems as if, and we talked about reform like the last 3 or 4 years as it pertained to this. Did I think it would get this bad? Yeah, 100%. You got 17, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds getting paid, and you got social media. Yeah, it's going to be chaotic. And you got people who are unhappy, people who were the guy in high school, the guy in, middle school and elementary school, the guy in Pee Wee, been the guy all their life. And then they come into a room with a bunch of other guys and they get buried. And they not the guy no more. They just another guy. That's what happened. So did we think this thing would be chaotic? Yes. The transfer portal is chaotic. Absolutely, it's chaotic. And NIL is chaotic. I believe, and I know a lot of people don't believe this, but I believe we have way more holdouts in this sport than that are talked about. I truly believe we have way more holdouts than that are talked about, or people threatening to hold out. When I see holdouts, I like to call it the Emmitt Smith, because I remember what he was able to do. Cowboys started the season off 0-2 and ended up winning the Super Bowl after Jerry Jones decided to show him the money, like Jerry Maguire. So it's interesting that President Trump felt like, yo, let's really tackle this. Let's really get to this and shit. And it shows me that he ain't a casual, that he actually care about college football. So that's pretty cool. But it really got me thinking, though. Like, I've said this on before, and I'm on record for saying this before, that I don't believe where we're at with college football is 100% the NCAA fault. I'm on record with saying this. I blame Charlie Baker for quite a lot. I don't blame him for this, because they wanted amateurism. We all know they wanted amateurism. They didn't want this because I think they saw the potential of this happening. And after lawsuits, from Tennessee, from Virginia, I just think they really just truly washed their hands with it. And that's okay. That's okay. So that's why, like I said, I don't blame them. But we all know we need reform. I know you guys watch a lot of different college football shows. This sport has grown immensely just in the last few years. But you think about the better part of a decade, how many people were doing what we're doing now, especially from like an independent perspective, like, making shows that are college football centric year round, 24/7. It wasn't a lot. But looking at where we are now, how much the sport has grown, we all know that we need reform, but we may not all know the answers to getting that reform. There needs to be a committee. CFB Nation has been on point with this. Shout out to Nino Brown and my boy Dennis Noel. They've been on point with this. They've said that we need a committee. We need a committee for both entities. They said we need a committee for the NIL and a governing body over that, not the NCAA. They said we need a governing body over the transfer portal, not the NCAA, because we don't expect the NCAA to really do anything, because I don't think they care. I don't really think they care. Like, we look at the NCAA, right, as college football fans, like, let's be honest. Let's have a real honest discussion with ourselves. Let's look ourselves in the mirror and really have a genuine discussion. Like, when you think about the NCAA and the powers that be and the problems that matter, right, I'm a college football fan before everything fan, right? I only care about the NCAA as it pertains to college football. Yes, I watch college basketball. Yes, college basketball transfer portal is way more chaotic. Yes, March Madness is cool, but I don't care about a regular season college basketball game. Yeah, I think I do. If it's not Duke or Carolina, I don't give a damn. I just don't. That's me personally. It could be a group of 5 game if it's a regular season game and it matters for the conference. I'm watching it. Even if it don't matter, I'm watching it. That's how much I love college football. I love college football more than anything, including the NFL. I don't think it's close. And that's me speaking honestly. I really don't think it's close. So when we start to evaluate the NCAA and how well of a job that they've done, we forget about all of the other sports that they're the governing body over. I think it's truly time we have an honest evaluation with ourselves that we like, yo, like, volleyball is dope, it's cool. College basketball is dope, it's cool. College baseball cool. College softball is cool. It's a lot. A lot of it's growing. A lot of it's budding sports. But like, I only care about the NCAA as it pertains to college football. And I think sometimes I've been really critical. And at times the NCAA deserved it. And at times Charlie Baker deserved it. I've been really critical of them because I don't feel like they care about college football. And maybe it wasn't necessarily that they didn't care about college football. Maybe it was more so, we got other things to worry about, not just college football. But I only care about the college football aspect of it. I think it's kind of cool that President Trump wants to study this. I love the verbiage that was utilized. It wasn't like, okay, yeah, like, it needs reform. College football as it stands, not the sport, not the product. The product is amazing. Week in and week out, we get amazing stories. Think how great this last season was. Do y'all really just sit back and think about how great the 2024 season was? Immaculate. You talking about upsets week to week. I think the only constant we had in the regular season was probably Oregon. But like, week in, week out, we just didn't know what we were going to get. And then when it came down to that final college football playoff ranking, Ole Miss, they didn't make it, but they kind of had a path, right? South Carolina really had a path. Alabama kind of have a path. Of course, the Oklahoma game cost them. But, I can only think of one or two other seasons that were like as immaculate as this one with the upsets. Of course, 2007, but don't count that season. That season don't count. That season is just the GOAT season. It is what it is. But I like how the fact they want to study it and learn it, and that he's getting not only, people in this space, people in this realm, he's also getting successful people and pairing them with like, a Nick Saban, who's the GOAT in many people's eyes, including mine. So I think it's kind of cool. I think Donald Trump's leadership and his ability to move and get people listening is impressive. Hate him or love him. Like I said, I don't get political on this show at all. Only way you ever see me get political is when we talking about college football. That's it. I don't give a damn if you're Democratic. I don't give a damn if you're Republican. I really don't care. I don't care. It's not about that. To me, it's about college football. So I'm about college football. So I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've done outside of college football. If you're trying to do something to help the sport, I'm behind it 100%. So kudos to Donald Trump for making this happen. I'm interested to see, what comes of this study. I don't think I've seen any of the metrics or how long are they going to study this? Are they going to look into this for a 6-month period, a 1-year period, a 2-year, 3-year period? I just want to see how long they actually do this case study for, what comes of it, and what changes that are made that they can present to Charlie Baker and the NCAA to bring positive reform. The sport needs reform. The sport, the product on the field is damn near flawless, perfect. I love it. Week in and week out, I love it. But, there are some semantics outside of the sport as it pertains to, moving some things around to make the jobs easier for the coaches. The general managers would definitely make the job easier for the coaches. But when we look at the sport in totality, we do need reform. And kudos to them for being able to get this conversation started. I'm really, really happy about this. Let me know in the comment section how y'all feel about this. Do y'all think this will provoke real change? Do you think we should have probably held the NCAA more accountable, as it pertains to, trying to bring reform with both entities? Because I don't deem one more important than the other. Some people may deem the transfer portal it needs to be fixed. Too many people on the portal. Some people may think, we need more reform as it pertains to NIL. I look at them as both equally. They could be like twins that like your kids. Of course, you guys always like one kid more than the other. Y'all never go in a minute, but you do like one kid more than you like the rest of your kids. It is what it is. But like I say, I look at them as the same. They both equally need reform. Let's get to our next topic. I'm really happy about this next discussion we're going to have. We're going to get into some commissioner approval rankings. I don't know why I get so happy about little stuff like this. I don't know. I really like looking at these commissioners, and I really kind of like saying, what have you done for me lately, dog? You know what I'm saying? Do you deserve to be in that spot that you think you deserve to be in? So let's take a look at some of these commissioners, how we feel overall about a lot of them. Let's get right into it. So this is my commissioner ratings. It's based on what I see, what I believe. Some of this is affected by conference realignment. It is what it is. We can't avoid it. It's the unavoidable. And some of this is just I don't know. I love a feel-good story. I love a comeback story. That's why Rocky is one of my favorite movies. I always like those. I like the underdog stories. That's why I always love, movies like, Carlito's Way and watching how he navigates. I love a good comeback story. So coming in at number 1, I got Tony Petitti, Big Ten commissioner. I know for a lot of people, Greg Sankey will be the number 1 commissioner in their ratings, and I will get it 100% because I don't think nobody is more influential as far as it pertains to the sport. I don't think anybody has a louder voice. I don't think anybody is heard more than Greg Sankey. When Greg Sankey beats his damn drum, people start to listen, and people get afraid and very afraid. And he knows the product that is delivered on the football field by the Southeastern Conference year in and year out. It speaks for itself. But let me tell you something about Tony Petitti. Tony Petitti remind me of like one of those Italian mob bosses, bro. He cool, he chill, he the spokesperson. He know how to be El Presidente, but he also know how to get a little gangster too. I like how Tony Petitti move. I watch him a lot. And let's be frank. Big Ten owns the last 2 national championships in college football. This past season, we seen Ohio State win it all. The year before, we seen Michigan win it all. And both of those years, the SEC didn't field the team in the national championship. This past year, it was Notre Dame and Ohio State. The year before it was Michigan and Washington. I believe that Tony Petitti's ability to be El Presidente and also be a businessman at the same time. But, Tony Petitti is a smooth criminal. And let's keep in mind, he ain't been a commissioner very long. I think he was introduced in, 2022 or 2023? Tony Petitti is a smooth criminal. I like what the Big Ten at. And what we're starting to see in the Big Ten is parity. Like, think about this. When all this conference realignment, talk first started happening, really 2022, 2023. And Big Ten was looking to expand. Big 12 was looking to expand and keep their teams there. And SEC was definitely looking to expand. Yes, Tony Petitti company, they got active. Went and got Oregon. Went and got Washington. Went and got UCLA. Went and got USC. And it wasn't just the fact that they went and got those schools, but to me it was like they continued to push the envelope for their current board of governors. This past season in the Big Ten, we see Indiana in the college football playoff. Who saw that coming before the season started? Not me. Yes, I had the ultimate faith and the ultimate belief in Kirk Cincinnati, but I ain't see that coming before the season started. I'm just being honest. I didn't see that coming. I didn't at all. So I think another thing that Tony Petitti and Illinois was another surprise team this year. I believe that Big Ten, it used to be so top heavy. I believe they're trying to formulate a strong middle class, and strong middle class is what works in this sport. It really is. So I like Tony Petitti, and more importantly, I think the thing I like most about Tony Petitti is he ain't no hater, bruh. He has a strong allegiance with Greg Sankey. I really think that they're gonna change the landscape. Sankey wasn't happy about only getting 3 of his teams in last year, and none of them making a college football championship. You weren't happy about that at all. So Tony Petitti at number 1, that was easy for me. I don't know if it was easy for y'all. I know a lot of y'all would probably still have Greg Sankey, and I would have to, hey, listen, nobody beat their drum louder, period. But I like Tony Petitti at number 1. So you would probably ultimately thought at number 2 I would have had Greg Sankey. I just told you I love a feel-good story. I love a comeback story. And Pac-12 still saying they still alive. I love it. So coming at number 2 is Teresa Gould, Pac-12 Deputy Commissioner. If you ask historians who the greatest president of all time, some of the names you'll get is like Abraham Lincoln. But another name you'll see consistent with whoever you ask. Give me your top 5 presidents of all time. FDR, Franklin Roosevelt will be right there. And you think about when the stock market crashed in 1929 and it ultimately led to the Great Depression, FDR was able to strike that New Deal and able to restore and reintroduce the roar in the American economy again. So I think that's why a lot of people, if you ask them, hey, who you think the best president ever is, FDR should definitely be in that conversation. And really, a lot of the habits and stuff we had in the 1920s as far as people borrowing on credit, but it wasn't true credit because you wasn't no credit checks, nothing like that. Let me get that on credit. I ain't paying them back. That's kind of how it was in the 1920s. And a couple bad presidents in the 1920s as well as what led to the Great Depression. So, let's talk about Teresa Gould for a second and why I mentioned that. Pac-12 was dead, bro. It's 100% dead. What Larry Scott, George Kliavkoff, more importantly, George Kliavkoff did, I can never forgive it. Can never forgive it. Why these Pac-12 teams were sitting here waiting like Kliavkoff, what are you going to do? Buddy was waiting on the TV deal. Just kept waiting and kept waiting and kept waiting. Schools got anxious, bro. School said, we out. We not dealing with this. We had some go to the Big 12. Shout out to Brett Yormark, who was able to get active and get sturdy during that time. And some of them went to the Big 10. And it's because they were waiting and hoping. You cannot wait and hope on anything. If you want anything in this world, y'all don't learn anything else from this show. If you want anything in this world, you better go get it, bro. There ain't no handouts in this world. You better go get it. You better go take it. 100%. George Kliavkoff, Larry Scott. Some of the practices just affected George Kliavkoff, but George Kliavkoff waiting on the TV deal, bro. It didn't even have the TV deal ready for Pac-12 Media Days that year. But the thing I love about Teresa Gould is she got handed a raw deal. Pac-12 went from 12 illustrious members, a lot of them scattered. The real ones, you know who your friends are in Oregon State or Washington State, right? They're the only ones there, right? Let me tell you how smooth Teresa Gould is, bro. Let me tell you how smooth Shorty is, man. They were there, bro. Y'all know the little joint. Y'all know I'm older, man. The little joint that be on Instagram and TikTok and all that. Like, people get shot out the hospital. Like, I'm still alive, or what older cats do. They play the little mini man. Like, we see Brian Robinson Jr. run onto the field. At FedEx, stadium again, and you hear the mini man. Like, that's how I feel like Teresa Gould was. So, okay, we got two teams. She started cooling with the Mountain West schools with Gloria and the Verez and them. You know what I'm saying? And she got cool with them. And she was like, yeah, we the Pac-2 right now, but we still a Pac. We still a Pacific Coast. And last time I checked, you still on the Pacific Coast, Boise State. Come holler at me. Oh, Gloria, we still cool, right? We still going to lunch, right? Like, that's how I feel the conversations was, bro. Yeah. Fresno State, you still, you on the West Coast. Yeah, that's Pac. Yeah, you come with us too. Colorado State, you can come. Utah State, yeah, you can come to. San Diego State, I like your location. Yeah, you can come to. So, right now there are 7 programs. They need one more to become a recognized conference by the FBS. They do have Gonzaga. Gonzaga's a basketball school. I believe they'll get a couple more schools before it's all said and done. And yes, is the Pac-12 going to be back to what it was? No. There were behaviors that we just can't undo. We just can't undo the behaviors of Larry Scott and George Kliavkoff. You just can't. It is what it is. You can't undo it. But Teresa Gould was given a raw deal, was given a bad hand, and Shorty played the hell out of her hand. So shout out to her. I got her number 2 in my rankings because I believe in a comeback story. I believe in a feel-good story. And I can't wait to see the Pac-12. Yes, it won't be the Pac-12 that we remember. We know that. We not stupid. I don't know if it can ever get close, but in 2030, when it becomes easier for teams to leave the ACC, if Teresa Gould is still running this Pac-12 and she's able to secure Stanford and Cal and bring them back home, that'd be pretty dope. So I got Teresa Gould at number 2 because she's a fighter. She's able to make the right connections, continue to expand. Conference realignment is happening, and one school away from being a recognized conference by the FBS is nothing short of amazing. Then got a hell of a basketball school out of the process as well in Gonzaga. Greg Sankey at 3. What can't we say about him? When he get angry, you can feel it, you can see it. It's noticeable. He called this good old boy the mob boss. Tony Petitti was like, hey man, we ain't getting no teams to the playoff. I think we need to have automatic guarantees when we move this thing up to 14 to 16. Automatic guarantees. So that he been loud. And Greg Sankey is the most feared commissioner in all of college football. Don't get it twisted. Yes, I like Tony Petitti. I think he like a mob boss. I think he's smooth with his. But Greg Sankey is still one of the most feared, man. I can tell you this. Back in 2023, when Florida State was left out of the college football playoff, Jim Phillips, a guy that I respect. I got a lot of respect and admiration for Jim Phillips. He's a solid dude. He's a stand-up dude. And I wish you all kind of had some of the same opportunities we had because we actually get to meet a lot of these people. And he's just a real stand-up dude. But I feel like his vernacular wasn't strong enough as it pertained to fighting for Florida State. Now, we're going to talk about Jim Phillips a little bit later, but his vernacular was definitely strong when it came to holding Florida State and Clemson accountable for them trying to leave the conference. And I like to see that side of Jim Phillips. I think if he had that same approach to when Florida State got left out, and he used that strong vernacular like he used with those 2 programs at the ACC last year, I think you'd have probably had a little bit more respect from both of those programs because, we can call it what it is. Yes, Jordan Travis was hurt, but, to win your conference championship outright and to be left out of the playoff, I thought Jim Phillips was a little bit too professional. But Greg Sankey at 3. Number 4, Brett Yormark. A lot of y'all already know how I feel about Brett Yormark. He's always going to be up there because I think we have really 2 instances of you watch what you're supposed to do and then you saw what you're not supposed to do. So, in what you're supposed to do, Brett Yormark lost Texas at home, Oklahoma, 2 of the top 5 highest grossing college football schools in the nation. 2 of the highest grossing college football schools in the country. Lost them 2. He ain't waver, man. He went and go visit UConn and see, hey, I know you guys not the greatest football program, but you will add a lot to our conference as it pertains to basketball. it didn't happen, but he still got active. He still got sturdy. He still was able to go get Cincinnati. Still able to go get BYU. Still able to go get Colorado. Still was able to go get Arizona. Still was able to go get the 2024 Big 12 champion at Arizona State. But he got active. He made moves. He did not wait and hope like George Kliavkoff did. That's why I'm going to always have high respect and hold Brett Yormark in a high regard, because when they lost Texas and Oklahoma, a lot of people want to hung their heads just because how much money both of these schools make. He didn't. So, at number 5, personally, my favorite commissioner is Jim Phillips. As you know, I talked about him earlier. He's definitely a stand-up dude. He showed a lot of heart at 2024 ACC Media Days. That conference is budding. It may not be a stronger middle class in the sport than the ACC. You may can argue that, you make it feel differently about it. I feel strongly in it, and I would probably disagree with you if you didn't say the ACC. I liked what he did last year. He didn't sugarcoat. He didn't beat around the bush last year, man. When they came with Clemson and Florida State, he said, man, y'all signed this TV deal not once, not twice. We ain't put a gun in y'all head. We ain't say, hey, sign this. We signed it to you, signed it. Hey, I like a lot what he had to say. He said not once but twice. Very strong vernacular. Really became one of my guys after that, because he was holding them 2 schools accountable. I'm glad they was able to work that out. And if both of those 2 institutions want to leave, like I said, 2030 is kind of that key year where if you're a school and you want to leave the ACC 2030, they make it easier after 2030 to leave there. Gloria Nevarez would have been at this spot, but like I said, I believe she allowed Teresa Gould and the Pac-2, or whatever you want to call them now. They're no longer the Pac-2. I still call them the Pac-12. They got a little too friendly with their conference. Like, Gloria Nevarez set it up to where they weren't in the Mountain West, but they was able to play a lot of Mountain West regular season games. And those teams I'm talking about is Oregon and Washington State, Oregon State and Washington State. And like I said, you got to, what they say, keep your friends close but your enemies closer. And I feel like, Gloria Nevarez should have been in this spot, but she isn't. So I'm going to go with Tim Pernetti. What he's been able to do with the ACC is pretty cool. Not the ACC, I'm sorry, the AAC. They lost quite a few teams, like Cincy and like UCF a few seasons ago. But, adding the military institutions and Army and Navy, and Army did win their conference championship last year, I think it was a great move. And he was able to hold tightly onto, because there were a lot of talks with like the Memphis of the world and other schools. I think was Tulane a part of those talks as well, of schools that could, Pac-12 ain't hiding that they were interested in. So Tim Pernetti, he was able to fight and keep those schools. So I got him at number 6. Judy MacLeod, Conference USA. Conference USA holds a special, place in my heart. They probably will always hold a special place in my heart, because how they treated us. They done nothing but treat us with a great deal of love. We didn't go to Conference USA championship game last year just because we were credentialed for Big 12 championship. We was also credentialed for ACC championship. We ended up going to ACC championship this past season. But shout out Judy MacLeod. Shout out what they was able to do. Adding 2 teams this season in Missouri State and Delaware. Added Kennesaw State the year before. So shout out to them. I think they're really building something. I love what Conference USA has done with the midweek games, similar to what the MAC has done with those midweek games as well. Huge fan of theirs. I hate to see UTEP go, because UTEP is leaving the conference next season. But like I said, I got Judy MacLeod at 7, and finally Gloria Nevarez at 8. That's the Mountain West commissioner. I'm interested to see how the Mountain West bounce back, because it seems to be almost like genocide, on their conference. It's like the Pac-12 is trying to look at their conference, Sun Belt Conference USA looking at their conference. Everybody wants a piece of that Mountain West pie because of location. And a lot of this conference realignment talk, it's all about location. It's all about time zones. It's all, to be able to schedule, games at a certain time. Like, it was a big move for George Kliavkoff with like Colorado time difference, and they got teams down south, that's central. They got teams in the East Coast, so they operating on the East time. So like I said, a lot of this conference realignment crap is all about time zones. It's all about being able to have games in different zones, start them at different times. Like, that's what it's all about. But Gloria Nevarez, she's been able to hold her on. I had her highly ranked. I think the last time I did this, I think it was a little bit over a year ago. I might have had her in the top 5, but she's at 8 now. Like I said, I believe she allowed Teresa Gould to get a little too close And the Pac-12 was able to, secure some of these schools because of their closeness and because of their relationship with the Mountain West. At number 9, I got Keith Gill of the Sun Belt. What do you like what the Sun Belt is doing? Sun Belt is another, conference that we go to a lot of Sun Belt games year in and year out. Keith Gill's been able to turn the Sun Belt into a model, of stability and growth, strategic expansion, and, got an outstanding reputation. And coming in at the last spot, number 9, is Dr. John Steinbrecher. And I hated putting him at the 9th spot, but I'm going to be frank while I put him at the 9th spot. I'm going to be really frank, honestly. We saw the news a couple days ago with Akron falling below the progress rate of 914. That's embarrassing. That's very embarrassing. That's embarrassing for the entire, MAC conference. That has to be, embarrassing for Dr. John, Steinbrecher. It's just embarrassing overall. Kent State hasn't done anything like, academically to be embarrassing, but to be 1-23 over the last 2 seasons is embarrassing. It's very embarrassing. Yeah, we do have, a few staples like a Toledo, like a Miami of Ohio has really brung it on the gridiron the last couple of years. But I would expect more MAC schools to be under attack. We see that Northern Illinois is leaving. Northern Illinois is going to the Mountain West. So shout out to Gloria Navarez, who we was talking about a little bit earlier. But the MAC's going to have to figure it out. They really are going to. They're going to truly be under attack. Because as this thing goes and, people need more teams, if you think that by any stretch of the imagination that Teresa Gould is done building, and if you think they 100% got to be, on the Pacific Coast, you got another thing coming. She needs one more team, and I think she's going to try to get more than that. So you truly got another thing coming. So I hate to have Dr. John Steinbrecher at the last spot, but it is what it is. So let's go back over this 1 through 10. We got Tony Petitti, the mob boss, coming at number 1. Teresa Gould at number 2. Love a good feel-good story. Love a comeback story. Rocky is one of my favorite movie franchises. At number 3, we got Greg Sankey. Number 4, Brett Yormark. Number 5, Jim Phillips, my dog. Number 6, Tim Petitti. Number 7, Judy MacLeod of Conference USA. Number 8, Gloria Navarez. Number 9, Keith Gill. And number 10, Dr. John Steinbrecher and the MAC. So these are my my commissioner rankings. I'm going to go ahead and show you all my top 25 real quick before we get out of here. I don't have like the image size set up appropriately, but I'm such a dog. I can do this on the fly. I still talk to y'all. So I shout out everybody who watched that show yesterday, man. That show did numbers, man. It was pretty cool to see. Everybody in here showing love. Like we live 4 days a week, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And Mondays and Tuesdays is typically at 9 a.m. and then Wednesdays and Thursdays is typically at 4 p.m. I think every episode, just with the way that my schedule is working out next week, Monday through Thursday, may all be at 4 p.m. So if you guys like this comment, if you guys like this spot or slot better than the 9 a.m., let me know. I love morning episodes, morning streams. But I'm going to go ahead and pull up this top 25. I'm going to download it really quickly. Go ahead and download this now. So I'll put this up real quick, show you our top 25, and I will be posting it on Twitter as well a little bit later. Man, it's been a good couple weeks. We did 4 episodes this week. We did 4 episodes last week. I think we did like 2 or 3 the week before that. And it's the off season. Y'all can only imagine that when things really start heating up, where we really about to be at, man. I plan on doing a lot of episodes this year, and I won't be working this fall. I'll be taking a leave of absence. So I'm ready for that as well. And then this thing would download as a zip file. The heck is going on here, man? Go ahead and extract that real quick. Go ahead and pull that up. So I'm gonna pull up mine. So this is mine right here. Where y'all can see it. Let me know how y'all feel about it in the comment section. Number 25, I got Liberty. 24, I got Iowa. 23, and if you guys want to see how I feel about each team or why we omitted the teams we omitted, you guys can catch the actual live stream over on YouTube or CFB Nation's Twitter or my Twitter. You can also catch the video on demand on Spotify. It is a video on Spotify. A lot of people don't know that Spotify does have video podcasts. So if you search Governor of College Football on Spotify, you pull it up on your big screen, whatever you want to do. But just shout out to everybody who really love college football and really been helping this thing grow the way it's been growing. And number 23, Auburn, 22, Ole Miss, 21, Indiana, 20, Oklahoma, 19, Texas Tech, 18, Kansas State, 17, Florida, 16, Miami, 15, Louisville, 14, Michigan, 13, the Sun Devils, 12, Iowa State, 11, LSU, 10, Illinois, 9, South Carolina, 8, Notre Dame, 7, Alabama, 6, Oregon, 5, Georgia, 4, Ohio State, 3, Penn State, 2, Clemson. I almost put Clemson at 1, and don't be surprised for my fall camp rankings if Clemson is at number 1. But number 1 for right now is Texas. This is my top 25. I'm sure when I put this on Twitter, the people going to be critical about Tennessee not being in here. I think to a certain extent they have a right to feel that way. I mean, hell, they were in the college football playoff last year. SMU fans probably have a legitimate gripe as well. But the teams I put in here, a lot of teams is just based on what they've been able to do in the past, what I project them at. And Liberty has the easiest schedule in the country. 136 toughest schedule. That means they have the easiest schedule in the country. I think this is Jamie Chadwell's last season coaching at the G5 ranks. It's been a fun episode, man. I just wanted to show y'all that real quick. Man, as I always like to say, there are no more victories in a sport that survive and advance. That's why college football has the greatest regular season. And until next time, you all take care. Governor of college football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's
Two great
CJ
defensive
on
minds.
that.
They have to be better on that side of the ball.